Joe, suffice to say, we have a lot going on right now. Would you agree?
Yeah. Launching products, writing books, keeping everything else going, that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, so something that I've been thinking about a lot recently is how to plan my work week. Because at any given time, should we be focusing on this launch? Should we be getting our chapters in for our new book? Like you were just saying, and it's kind of an ever evolving, like what we've talked about, what is urgent and what is important. And we talked about getting things in on time and getting things in correctly. We were just having this conversation 5 minutes ago. And so I thought it'd be helpful to kind of talk through what we do as solopreneurs to plan out our week, to crank all this out, because we are far from alone in this juggling a million things at one time scenario. So let's kick things up. How do you plan out your week when you have so many balls in the air?
Well, the first thing I like to do is have a short list of priorities because, everything's important. But if you have, 50 things on your list of priorities, then nothing really moves, don't move the ball forward on any of them. So I like to have that kind of short list. And I have them, and when I'm doing it right, and I'll be honest, I don't always do this right because sometimes you just go, But it's one of those things where I kind of try to have some for work and then some things for personal, health and you have that list. And so, like for work right now, this week, it's the book. I mean, it's really my short list of work stuff this week is the book and just the basic things I have to do to keep the business moving. And for health, I have two things I want to either row my rowing machine or lift weights. So I just have that, that list of things that I want to get done every day. It doesn't always happen every day. Stuff happens, and you have just these different aspects of your life, and you try to have a high priority item or two on each of them and work toward them. And it can shift over time, from week to week. But that's how I like to do it, because otherwise my brain just melts, because there's too many things. So that's one of them.
Yep.
So that list, and then making some clear goals. Obviously, if you don't know what you're trying to do, if you don't know what finished looks like, then you can just work away. And I've seen a lot of people that work really hard but don't have like a clear end goal. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's a little harder to think through what is the end goal of this. And if it isn't if it isn't doable to come up with an end goal, should you be doing it? Maybe not. You mentioned the important but not urgent tasks, right? We spend most of our time, hopefully, on the important and urgent things, but it's always good to carve time out for the important things that aren't urgent. Those usually make your life better, right? You take the time to automate something that you're doing manually. Okay, it cost you half a day, but guess what? Within a month, it saved you 2 days, and that kind of thing. Time blocking, obviously, I don't need to say that. Everybody's heard that one. But planning for flexibility. Some people like to schedule their lives to the point where when anything goes wrong, anything comes up, something unexpected, it ruins their plans, and then it all falls apart. So it's really good, in my opinion, to only schedule, if you're doing time blocking, don't go too far in the future, because then you won't trust your calendar. You can time block little pieces in the future, but don't kind of block out the entire week. And then when you do block out today and tomorrow, don't block it all. Leave 25% of your time available for stuff, because it always happens. It always happens. And so that's my approach. That's kind of soup to nuts how I think about it.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the flexibility thing. Even today, I'm in Colorado. It's 65 degrees today. One of the first nice days we've had in a really long time. And the way my schedule was set up, it was just writing and figuring out childcare. So I could do more writing and this and all that. And then finally I was like, if I don't take advantage of this beautiful day for at least an hour or half hour, then that will just re-energize me to just crank things out. So I think as a solopreneur, your to-do list, you do often think of the to-dos for your business, but thinking about the to-dos for your mental health to further your business is equally important.
I totally agree.
So to not forget about that aspect of things, you talked about time blocking. We were saying that time blocking, doing that not too far in advance, but to do it, I try to do it every night, like kind of review what's coming the next day, what I didn't get done.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Yeah, and that way the next day, you got the next day planned out. But, what I did at one point in my life, I time blocked out like weeks in advance. I'm going to do this here. I laid out all the stuff I had to get done. It was like, oh, it felt so good when I finished because I just had this great plan. And then something would happen. And one of the killers was now, something happens and now your entire time blocking plan is out the window because you've got to adjust everything. And number two, I would miss meetings because I would have a calendar full of to-do items and I wouldn't necessarily always look at it. And then all of a sudden it's like there's a meeting and I didn't see it and I would skip me. I mean, and it's, because you don't trust your calendar to be a calendar anymore when you make it into a full-blown to-do list.
Exactly. And who are we just talking to? Will Christensen being like, do not turn your calendar into your
to-do list. Yeah.
And it's so true. To piggyback off of your list for the day, I try to have 3 must get done things, because that's so small that it's easier to achieve. And then once you get them done, you're like, you have the momentum because you're like, man, I'm a rock star. I completed these tasks. I'm going to conquer a few more. As opposed to if you had 10 things on the list, you got 3 done, and then you're a failure.
Touche. That is so right. Because, sometimes, and I did this early on, this to-do list that looks, is just like a mile long and just working down the list. But, the end of the day comes and you're like, oh, well, I checked off 6 things, but there's 67 more. You're not feeling that feeling. And yet if you make a short list for that day, and then do that every day for the week. At the end of the week, at the end of the day, you feel good. At the end of the week, you feel great, and you still might have a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and it's a mindset thing. I mean, your tasks are the exact same either way, no matter what you assign to yourself, but just how you view it can make or break how you feel and can improve your mood and your motivation. So
I remember what's his name? David Allen, who wrote Getting Things Done that we always talk about. I think he was kind of making a joke or kind of making fun of people that he saw that would get something done and then sit down and put it on their to-do list and check it off. And he kind of thought that was goofy. And I'm like, I kind of get that. It's like, there's something that feels good about just going check. And if you forgot to put it on your list, but you got it done, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with people doing that. I didn't think that was as goofy as he did, but.
No. And my last recommendation would be find a tool that works for you to stay organized. Everybody's different, whether it is calendar blocking and actually putting your to-do list in your calendar, which again, we're not huge fans of, but if that works for you, great. If it's a tool, like an app that you use, great. If it is a Google Doc that you just keep a running list of things, Post-it notes, whatever, just find what works for you. Everybody's different and stick with it because that'll keep you going too.
Absolutely.
Like, Joe, can you imagine if you told me to do a spreadsheet of to-do lists and I told you to do a Word doc, we'd be all over the place.
That would, yeah. Word doc could work. Yeah, I could see that. I would definitely go to a spreadsheet.
Exactly. Well, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, please leave that 5-star review. Recommend this show to a friend. We love getting the word out, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And we will see you next time on The Aspiring Solopreneur.